Hiya YouTube, I am the alter ego of EuphoricImpact. Call me Shady Hawkins, and I need to talk to you. It is amazing that white people I have conversed with on YouTube do not care about racism, sexism, and classism. And I don't mean all of them, I just mean many that I have spoken to. Since this is a representation of the macro, I have become even more concerned with this subject than before. We can see the various irrational dynamics and systems that express a belief in a divine power. The stupidity of thinking the IMF and the Fed are necessary monetary components, or that the IMF really increases the exchange stability of major currencies, or even that those in public office see themselves as servants and not sly or underhanded on average. We see through that crap. But even with America's obsession with race, there is a denial of racial conflict and institutionalized racism. I find this to be unpalatable. They really think this is a thing of the past? Oh. They cling to a naive state that only degenerates and low-class whites have invested in the idea of superiority. Only they are willing to harm another or discriminate because of this belief. This makes me want to scream. I can make videos and point out how blacks can be racist. I can catch hell all day for that. But when you point to the obvious that racism exists amongst us all, well, this becomes too painful to hear. Too painful to hear that racism, sexism, and classism is well in America. Maybe it is because this subgroup has a bias. Or is it because we have a biracial president that certain uglies do not seem to roam in the light of day? Is it because you grew up being hammered by the sins of your ancestors, or hammered with the sins of other folks' ancestry? Well, there is a particular group of whites joining the ranks with the likes of those who promote white genocide. They also buddy up to those that use trends for the sake of having ammunition to murder distinctions. These folks salivate at the idea of promoting Black American deficiencies. They love the idea of rational discrimination. Yes, rational discrimination can be thought of as a method where cognitive dissonance is approved, normally in the form of generalizations and mainly for the sake of protecting white people, shielding them from the reported general line of orientation. It is armor against probabilities, even if it is irrational. It is a method to explain away racist practices, whether it is complex situations that pertain to the criminal justice system or something simple like catching a taxi. Some acknowledge that this is an unfair method for assessing the individual, but this does not prevent the action from occurring. No. Taxi drivers who pass by black men, even if they are in conventional European dress. Store owners who refuse to hire blacks, even though they present themselves well and are eager to work and qualified for the position. And women who cross the road at the sight of a black man, even if it is daylight and plenty of people are around, and even if he resembles the same man in her mandingo fantasy. You know, the one that produces moisture between her legs. Yet she panics at her imagination as it swings to the tamed beast that may have forgotten that he has been domesticated. Does that cook your noodle? Now, there is a possibility that these people are overreacting because they lack information on that person. You can even argue that these actions are not motivated by racism in any conventional way because their actions do not grow from any subjective animus towards blacks. Or it could be these sort of fear-driven automatons fancy themselves not racist or even flirters with racist ideology, but unskilled statisticians acting on impressionistic but not inconsistent reasoning that lynches conformity to reality and welcomes the less challenging general principles. No need to give their prejudice a second thought. Let's not forget how this group is famous for claiming that racism can only exist in the hearts of mankind but not institutionally presented. Even in these stressful times where many people of all groups scapegoat and harboring antipathy towards black Americans is fashionable, we are one big melting pot. Yep, we're fine. Yet you can hear the words within the echo chamber. Racism is nearly extinct. And then someone yells, "Hey, stupid fuck, this type of thinking is why racism still runs rampant." Don't honestly address the emperor in his new clothes, especially if you are not pampering the old rhetoric from the left or right. Yep, we're fine. Yet intermarriage is frowned upon because we gotta keep those bloodlines pure. Forget that real love is present. Can't you see those poor saps suffering from a coronary at the thought of praying to a black Jesus? Now, white America, are you ready to admit that not every civil rights activist who has committed to the struggles of yesteryear is strictly sounding the trumpet of white racism to line their pockets? Can it be that every now and then it's not about maintaining notoriety and protecting plush lifestyles? Now, can you imagine white politicians admitting that they can care less about their white brethren feeling guilty, as long as that guilt has no role in policy making, that is? Now, I know what some of you white listeners are loudly thinking. Even in the face of all that was stated, you're pondering, is black culture responsible for black failure? Well, what do you deem as failure? But anyway, and if so, why punish innocent whites by reverse discrimination? We like our universal white standards and find cultural relativism repugnant. You may say I have been unfair and that he's just another liberal who thinks blacks can't improve their condition since their disadvantage is due to whites. That ain't true, by the way. Now back to those loud thoughts. I was told fairness and equality are impulsively forgotten, so that any white business owners who does not bow to quotas, excuse me, I meant representative shares of minorities, is looked upon with guilt and suspicion. Well, first, fuck you, and secondly, get it through your thick skull, that noggin of yours, that racist attitudes have a logic and life of their own, dependent upon cultural practices and psychological makeup. This is the same with any religious practice. The reverence is not for a deity here, but for the collective. The sacred scriptures of indoctrination primarily flows from the holy books of the marketplace, interior mismanagement, and cultural inculcation. Today, we see that the intellectual white racist dwells in the land of intellectual codification, where they can devalue and degrade via illustrations of more false divisions of humankind. Racism flourishes in just the right mixture of economic and cultural realities. Yep, we're fine. See ya.